100 years ago today, Flying Officer Peter Pease was born in London, but at the young age of just 22, he lost his life protecting our country in the Battle of Britain, when his Spitfire was shot down in this field in Kingswood, near Maidstone.
It was the climax of the Battle of Britain on that particular day, 15th of September 1940. The skies above Kent were absolutely full of enemy aircraft. He was in a conflict at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's when he was actually shot down. He landed in the middle of the field behind me, and in the middle of that field you'll see a tree which was actually planted in his memory, and the plaque here is the latest memory of this brave pilot.
Today, on Pease's 100th birthday, a memorial just metres away from the crash site was unveiled to remember his life and his service in the RAF. It was commissioned by a professor in America, but it was built here in Kent. The man behind the tribute is East Farleigh-based monument maker Gordon Newton.
I'm very pleased with this because it's a very personal one, and it will commemorate him. It'll be here long after we've gone, and it's made from a very good, very durable stone, so it won't erode, and the bronze will age, and it will be there for our next generations.
The field behind the new monument was the scene where Peter lost his life, but not before he completed one last heroic act.
Peter Pease killed himself by not crashing into houses, and he was heard to rev his engine and went into the field, and he was found in his cockpit.
Peter's successes have been immortalised by the new tribute, which is an important permanent reminder of the bravery shown during the war.
It was a whole generation lost really over that period, but if they hadn't succeeded in beating the Luftwaffe, you and I would not be here talking today. So we must never ever forget the duty and what these guys did for all of us.
The memorial behind me has been unveiled on what would have been Peter's 100th birthday, and I think you'll agree it's a fitting tribute to who was and still is a hero of Britain. Harry P. for KMTV in Kingswood.
And joining me now in the studio to discuss this is Robin Brooks, an aviation historian and writer from the Biggin Hill Heritage Hangar. Robin, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Firstly, we've just been learning about the story of Pease. He was only 22 when he sadly passed away, but that was quite a regular story for a lot of the flying officers in the RAF.
It was actually. Most of the aircrew were aged from 20 up to, I think the eldest was about 32 during the Battle of Britain period. Most of them were very young, with hardly any training, but you know, they came along, they had about 3-4 weeks training, sat into a Hurricane or a Spitfire, and of course went to war.
And just give us a bit of details as to what role Kent did play during the Battle of Britain.
Well, of course, everything happened in the skies over Kent. You know, we were classed as a Battle of Britain country or county here because it was the shortest route from the French-held airfields. And of course, Kent really did suffer because we had some of the major airfields in Kent, Biggin Hill, Westmoreland, places like that, Hawkinge, Lymm. You know, they were really targets for the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe. And the object of the Luftwaffe was to clear the Royal Air Force from the skies prior to the Germans actually invading our country, which of course they never did.
And how is that shown these days?
How is it shown? In film, there are our recordings. Also, we try and keep this history alive because it is a great part of the history of the 20th century, a great part of our lives, if you like. It was a pivotal time for the country as well as for Kent.
And how important is this kind of memorial that we've seen has been unveiled today?
We must never ever forget these guys because they really were heroes in all. Churchill called them his few, and Lord Dowding called them his chicks, and they were a unique fighting force and actually saved this country from tyranny, because otherwise you and I would not be here talking together had it gone the other way.
As you rightly say, it's so important to remember these people that fought for us now. Robin, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you very much indeed.